Welcome to Real Judaism with Rabbi Klapper. Unfiltered wisdom for Jewish life.
We are here on Daf Kuf Samach Gimel, Ois Gimel. Now we're starting the final section of this parak, long parak, talking about the different zmanim of Shabbos. And we're now going to start the last Seudah of Shabbos, Seudah Shlishis, otherwise known as Seudah Shlishis. Seudah Shlishis nikra Seudah Z'eir Anpin. What does the Z'eir Anpin mean? We're going to see on the next Amud. We'll talk about what does it mean Z'eir Anpin. Gam kan muvan sha'inyan hu misitre chokhmas hakabala hanelemed meitanu v'lo banu el ingoa b'ketza mirachok. Yeah, there are obviously very deep things over here. What does it mean, Z'eir Anpin? We're not going to get into all of these things. We're just going to touch it a little bit on the outside so we have a good understanding, try to get a good understanding of what is the specialness of the third meal of Seudah Shlishis and the end of Shabbos. Vinei, his ba'er sheb'Shabbos kodesh, Middos Elyonos shel Hashem yisbarach mishtakepes b'toich olamenu. We know that on Shabbos, the Middos Elyonos, the great Middos of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, are rained down on us, into our world. Av Middos Osik Yomin, Shi Chasodim Gemurim Noiroim, right? Middos Osik Yomin, which means that the great chesed that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives, and also the seeing of HaKadosh Baruch Hu through a clear looking glass, through a clear glass, meaning that we can see clearly the midas of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's like being Makabel Pnei Shechina. It's like we're here, Hashem is here with us, and Hashem comes and joins us on Shabbos. This is what Shabbos is giving us. And this comes about by putting all the physical things to the side, by putting aside all the physicalness of the world, in which we discussed many times, the Lametetz Malachos, which represents creation. Creation is physical. Creation is in this. Obviously, creation can be spiritual as well. But we're talking about creation on a physical level. We have to put all those physical things on the side in order to be Makabel Pnei Shechina. Kasher kol ha'olam shoyves, when the whole world rests, Yochoyla ha'emes lamita umidas noiro shel Hashem yisbarach lehitgalot. That when the whole world rests, that's when we can see the true midas of Hashem. When the world is quiet and silent, then HaKadosh Baruch Hu can be heard and seen. That's a tremendous, tremendous thing, and that's what we want. That's why the whole purpose of being shomer from doing malacha on Shabbos, so that the whole world can be quiet, so we can bask in the shefa that HaKadosh Baruch Hu brings when He Himself comes in, like we discussed in Chelek Aleph. When the Chassan comes in, all of a sudden the whole world changes, and we can feel that when everything else is quiet. So what comes out is that the whole essence of the Kedusha of Shabbos is specifically for this 7th day. So only through this great day of Shabbos, HaKadosh Baruch Hu chose that through being mevatel everything in the world. And we said that's only Shabbos. It's only Shabbos because the other days, the other Yom Tovim you can do malacha for oichel nefesh, right? Even Yom Kippur you can, but we discussed already in the past about why Yom Kippur is different. But we are like the hainu me'ein oilam habo, because oilam habo, that's what it is. What is oilam habo? The Gemara at the end of Tainis says that all the tzaddikim are going to be around and going to be pointing and say, Zeh Keli V'Aveu, Zeh Hashem Kivinu Lo. This is Hashem. We're going to be basking. That's the ultimate hana that HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to give, is to be nene from Miziv Shechina. And that's really what we have the opportunity to do, even in Olam Hazeh, on Shabbos, because we have the ability to make it like Olam Haba, like we say in the Zemer, Me'ein Olam Haba, Yom Shabbos Minucha. This Shabbos is a me'ein oilam haba. Aber miyad kishechoizer oilam liyamei achol ein zeicher v'shirayim mikdushas Shabbos. But what happens when Shabbos ends? It's kind of like an amazing thing, really. people are running for Shabbos to end. Why are people running for Shabbos to end? They obviously are not enjoying what Shabbos has to offer. That's why they need to get their cigarette, right? Or they need to get their puff, or they need to get to whatever it is, right? There was a song when I was growing up. I don't remember which group sang it, but the line of the song goes like this: Motzei Shabbos, we must go out. I just can't wait until dark. Woodburn's waiting without a doubt, but there's nowhere to park. Right? You know the song? Right? We gotta go. Pizza. Right? We gotta hit the scene. That's right. What happened to Shabbos? What happened to Shabbos? No, I want to keep Shabbos longer. Hama'akrim latzeis min haShabbos. We push off leaving Shabbos. I don't want Olam Haba to end. I don't want to go back into Olam Hazeh. You want to go back into Olam Hazeh? Why? Obviously, we're not being nana from Shabbos enough, because Shabbos is amazing, and if we tap into that, a person will really. I don't want Shabbos to leave, but when Shabbos leaves, that's it. What happened to all that kedusha? Where did it go? What happened to all this? If that's the whole idea, that Shabbos is just one day, it's like an island, and like you're on that island for just that amount of time, and that's it. You're done. And it has no other effect. It's kind of like you're just not in the world for one day, and then you go right back into the world. But it has no effect on the rest of the days. That can't really be what's going on over here. Shabbos doesn't have an effect. We know, and we've mentioned this many times, Shabbos is the Makor HaBracha for the whole week. So it has to be, to a certain degree, that we can see somewhere in Shabbos that even though it's Me'olam Haba, it should have an effect on Olam Hazeh too. For sure, the Ikar Tachlis is not that Shabbos should just be an island and have no effect on the rest of the week, but rather Shabbos is going to be giving life to the whole week, and it will have an effect on the whole week. So here we're going to go a little bit into what is this Z'eir Anpin. What is this? Z'eir Anpin k'viyachol. In this again, as little bit of a Kabbalah as we can do. So we'll try to understand what he's saying over here. But okay, we're going to try the Middos and the Dashamayim, the ways of Hashem, the way Hashem acts in the 6 days of the week. In the Lashon of Chazal is called Z'eir Anpin, which means a small face. It's a small face, kiviyachol. Hamuvan Z'eir hu la'apuke mimidas erech apayim, shiu achad mishloshas remidos, shal rachamim elyonim. Z'eir, small, is the opposite of aroch, long. So we say Hashem is erech apayim. Hashem has a long face, and here this is a short face. Erech Apayim usually is a reference to Hashem's rachmanus. Hashem has a long face, means he can stare at something for a long time and still hold back. Erech Apayim shekadosh baruch hu merachem umarich kaso. He doesn't hit you with his anger right away. He's able to push it off, make it a little bit longer. He can put more rachmanus. That's what it means. Erech Apayim. Ve'eno manish miyad. He doesn't punish right away. Ve'hi midas rachamim. That's a tremendous midah of rachamim. Let's see a little bit further. What does it mean? You should be a quick witness. There's no reason to push off the judgment. Meaning, if there's supposed to be a judgment, do a judgment. In fact, that's the way we paskin. Beis Din doesn't push things off, in secular.
Or the punishment.
What?
The judgment or the punishment?
Both. I mean, HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't need to sit in judgment for a long time in order to decide what to do. So the judgment can go pretty quickly, right? We don't, not like some places where cases last for forever. It's crazy, right? And he doesn't punish right away either. Right. Excuse me, he should be punishing right away, but he doesn't. Right? In the secular world, a person who's already convicted to death, let's say, which is not such a It's a pretty rare thing because most of the secular world doesn't believe in capital punishment. In Texas, right, certain places that they still have capital punishment, which is very good because if people realize that you are going to pay the price, it is definitely a deterrent. But these people could be sitting, languishing on death row for a very, very long time. Just get it over with already. Why are you pushing this off and off and off? Like, why? In the Torah, there's a din right away, and they don't wait around. If they're witnesses, they call out. Anybody have witnesses? Anybody have what to say? Whatever. And if nobody comes, that's it. We judge the din. Maybe it could take a day or 2 days. And then as soon as the judgment is in, if he's innocent, he's innocent. He goes free. And if he's guilty, right away they go. They don't wait. There's no waiting. Because that's what Middos din is. That's what proper judgment is. What are you waiting for? That is the din. He is chayav malchus. Give him malchus. Okay, we need a doctor to come in, see how many malchus he can handle. We can't do more than we're not killing him. So, okay, fine, you get your doctor. The court physician is going to come and check him out to make sure that he's able to, right? He's able to hold himself together so he can get this many lashes or that. But you don't wait. That's what Middos din is. Somebody who bangs their head into the wall, right? Kind of like a funny marshal, but okay. Somebody goes and bangs their head in the wall. He gets his punishment immediately. He doesn't have to wait for his punishment, the guy who bangs it. He's got to break that wall. Don't break the wall. You're going to get punished. Boom. You see that? You got the punishment right away. For sure, a person who goes and does something against Rebbeinu Shalom, Hare zu akira b'metzius mimakor chiyuso umadua lo ba al onsho miyad. For sure, he's rebelling against the Rebbeinu Shalom. He's being oiker his own essence from he's separating his essence from his life source, right? It's like a guy who's in the underwater, he's scuba diving, right? And he just decides, I don't need this air anymore. I don't need this thing in my mouth to breathe. I'm just getting rid of it. That guy's not going to last very long. Right? Immediately. So why, if a person cuts off his life source, his real life source, his spiritual life source, which is his real life source, not just the air, why doesn't he get punished right away? What gives him still the ability to stay around, be alive? It's only because the Kodesh Baruch Hu has this rachmanis. He continues to give life, even if the guy cut himself off. Even if he cut himself off, he's still getting life, at least in this world. You know, the idea of kares is a very scary idea. I myself don't know 100% what it is, but I did read a sefer. In a sefer, I think they quote it's from the Ben Ish Chai, that talks about kares, that you're literally cutting yourself off from your source. It's kind of like cutting a root. So there are 36 types of chiyuv kares. So if you cut one of them, so you lost a certain level of life that you would have had. That's what kares is. A spiritual life. We are connected to a system to Shemayim. That's where we have our life source from. A person who does kares cut himself off from that life source. That's it. His life is over. A person who cuts himself off enough is done. I think I mentioned this story over here. I'll say it again because it's related to this. I read it in one of the alonim that they give out on an Erev Shabbos, one of these parsha sheets. A very nice story about a certain town where there was a certain Jew who unfortunately was a meshumad. He went off the derech. Not only did he go off the derech, he wasn't shomer Torah mitzvahs, but he actually became a moiser. Really, the worst of errors that there are, became an informer to the government against his fellow Jews. Terrible, terrible thing to do. And there was a certain Jew in that town who was in charge of keeping the Erev going. And he also was a victim many times of this moiser. And one day he comes to this Jew. The moiser comes to this very erlich Jew, and he says, "Listen, I know you're making a wedding. I'm willing to give you all the money for the wedding." Wow. in exchange for the schus that you have of working on the Eruv, or making sure the Eruv. So he's like, wow. So he went to ask his Rav, and he says, the shum panim v'oyevim, no, do not do that. Okay? Anyway, this guy was pestering him again and again and again, and he kept offering more. I'll pay for all your weddings, all your kids' weddings. I'll pay for them, not just this one. All of them in the future, I'll pay for them. It's already a better deal, right? So he goes back to his Rav, and he asked the Rav, and the Rav said, no way. And he said, I'll explain to you why. You see, this man is a Rasha. And Rasha, yes, Hashem has erech apayim. Hashem has rachmanos, and he gives him the opportunity to do tshuva. But really, this man, his soul can feel that he's running out of his life source. And if he doesn't get a new source of life soon, he's going to die. Because he cut himself off. There's no place for his life to get nourishment from. What he's trying to do is he's trying to find a new source of root nourishment, and he's going to get it from you. And then he'll still be around in order to wreak havoc for the Jewish community. If you don't give it to him, then he'll die. The Moiser will die because he won't have a life source anymore. Do not give it to him. Do not give him this schus. Till finally, the Moiser came back to him. He said, no, you have to give it to me. And he was screaming and yelling until finally he dropped dead. So the Moiser dropped dead. That's it. The gas ran out of, the tank ran out of gas. He didn't have a life source anymore. So yes, it's true that even when you cut yourself off, you still have a little bit of life juice left in you, right? You take flowers. Yeah, we'll pick flowers, right? You put them in water, and it looks like they're really still alive. They're still blooming, right? It takes a few days, and you see, they're not alive. They're dead. You cut them from their life source, they're dead. They look like they still have life to them, right? It's like the animal's still moving around once you do shchita. It's done. The life source over. So HaKadosh Baruch has rachmanos, and he wants to give us life, and he doesn't want us to die, and he gives us opportunity to do tshuva. So that's the rachmanos that Hashem has. V'nei mashmos erech hapayim hu arachas af lizman aroch mo'od. We have a lot of time HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives. Sharei ksiv kan shlosha l'shoyne shal arichos echad erech echad apayim lashon rabim. It doesn't say apayim means like two faces. So erech is long, and it's like he has two faces. Lashon rabim od shnayim hanu shalosh. There are three lishonos here of rachmanos that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has. The kolalu hu shekol shalosh haim chazaka ad olam. They are very, very strong. All three together, right? When we talk about three, it's a chazaka. It means that it has extra strength, and it can last even longer. Kamo kadosh, kadosh, kadosh. Shemashmos pshuto hainu kadosh, kadosh. V'oid, v'oid ad olam. Right? When you say three times, it doesn't just mean three. It means forever, because the chazaka holds. Once you have three, you have a chazaka and hold on. V'chein kol inyan mishulash moira al chazaka ad olam. Any chazaka is mashma that it's endless forever. So too, when it comes to the midah of rachmanos that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has for Klal Yisrael, larich oid v'oid ad kedei kach shemikoach middos zu oiset tshuva. HaKadosh Baruch Hu has more than enough rachmanos to give for a person who can do so a person can do tshuva. That's what Hashem wants. Hashem wants us to do tshuva. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu can wait and wait and wait until the person will do tshuva. So it comes out that the person won't receive that terrible punishment, and he'll be able to have a real life, to last in this world. Amnam he Middos rachamim elyonos. That is one of the Middos Elyonos of rachamim. It's a much higher level. HaKadosh Baruch Hu cannot be noiheg with this midah forever. Clear. Why? It's very clear why. Because if HaKadosh Baruch Hu waited endlessly until the person did tshuva, the world would be destroyed in the interim. They would totally destroy the world. This is what happened during the times before the Mabul, where people, HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave tons and tons of time, and what happened is that they destroyed the world. HaKadosh Baruch Hu only had to left to start again, but they had already destroyed the world. the Rishoyim of that generation. That's why it's a short face. That's why when we're talking about generally in Olam Hazeh, we're talking about a shorter amount of time, a limited amount of time that the Kodesh Baruch Hu has rachmanos. So that the world doesn't remain in a state of complete hefker, where anybody can do whatever they want, and there's no judge, there's no execution of punishment, because we're just waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. Kodesh Baruch Hu has rachmanos, all they'll do tshuva. There has to be a stronger level of din, because otherwise the world will just explode or implode. It has to be limited. If it would only be short, you would get the punishment immediately. But the world wouldn't be able to. People make mistakes. The Kodesh Baruch Hu created us, and we make mistakes. One mistake and you're done. What do you mean? So nobody will ever have any opportunity to really live, and there wouldn't be an opportunity for tshuva either. So therefore, on the one hand, we have to have the short, that there's a very limited amount of time that you have. Mitzad echad anpin. It still has to be a face. It means it has to be that a Kodesh Baruch Hu arichas af shel chesed. Hashem also is giving chesed. He's giving also so that the people have the opportunity to do tshuva. And through the mixture, we have a world that runs together based on a combination of din and rachamim, strict judgment together with mercy. Nimsa, Middos Z'eir Anpin, He Middos Hanhagos Hashem Yisbarach B'olamenu, Ayedin Din V'Rachamim. So what comes out is when it says the Z'eir Anpin, the smaller face, meaning that a Kodesh Baruch Hu does have rachmanos, but it's shortened in this world. It's through din and rachamim. That is the midah of the 6 days, of creation. Aval kasher ba Shabbos kodesh. But when Shabbos kodesh comes around, hanhagas ha'olam over the Middos Elyonos. Kodesh Baruch Hu uses his Middos Elyonos, the higher middos, the middos that he really wants to show. Not that he has to, because we don't have a choice. We're stuck. Otherwise, the world will explode. Shabbos is different middos. It's erech hapayim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu has patience. Rachamim elyonim, a higher level of mercy. B'leil Shabbos, mishtakfim harachmanim. On the night of Shabbos, we can see this mercy. Hanoyroim derech hasadeh HaKadosh Shabbos, through their field, through seeing Hashem, that this is the field, this is the place where HaKadosh Baruch Hu brings out his bracha, like we learned in the beginning of this parak. U'b'Shabbos b'boiker sholetet midas harachamim atzmusa v'tifarta. And then on Shabbos morning, that's when the midas harachamim can be seen with absolute clarity. Amnam, however, and we'll finish with this for today. Kasher bozman Mincha v'Seudah Shlishis. When you get to the second half of the day, which means we're into the last few hours of Shabbos, when we're getting to Mincha time, and we're getting to Seudah Shlishis, the third meal, Kedusha Shabbos mitgaberes yoiser v'yoiser. The Kedusha of Shabbos gets even stronger. V'otzemes harachamim sheyesh ba'olam einam rak mikoach midas hachesed ha'alyon, ela gam midas hadin v'anhagas ha'olam sheshesh yemei ha'maaseh mitztarfim u'maskimim l'chesed gadol shel Shabbos kodesh. We're going to have to discuss what this means. We're not going to be able to do it today. But what he's saying is that already we're getting ready at the end of Shabbos to take these midas of Shabbos and put them into the world. Because really that midah of rachamim that there is, that little bit of midah of rachamim in the world, is really coming from Shabbos. So therefore the midas of the sheishis yemei ha'maaseh are already joining together at the end of Shabbos with Shabbos in order to also proclaim the glory of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. How does that happen? We'll have to discuss it, start discussing it next week, Be'ez Hashem. And with that, we're going to finish the parak. I hope we'll finish the parak next week. Goya.
Thank you for joining Real Judaism, where we explore Torah's wisdom for real life. Created by J Foundations and produced by Eli Podcast Productions. Find more episodes at realjudaism.org. and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.